Welcome to Phillip Island, Victoria in Australia. What a setting we have for this great sporting contest, the Little Penguin Sea to Dune race. Nervous moments always as they gather on the beach, the tension mounting, and away they go. There's the defending champion, wearing his familiar navy blue and white, great waddling style. Another pre-race favourite though, losing touch with the pack. Maybe that's why. A few too many fish in the day's feeding. There's a familiar face, Skip McIntyre, 8 times a champion back in the 90s, a very successful coach now, keeping a keen eye on proceedings. This the leading group, one or two still able to put on a show for the camera, others just ploughing straight over it. Some resorting to shortcuts. Sad that cheating has crept into this beautiful sport. The judges will have a look at that. But up at the front, the pace is relentless, closing in on those sand dunes that will offer a bed for the night. The fatigue starting to tell. Who's got the finishing kick up on the outside? What a turn of pace from that one, whichever one it is. No answer from the rest, and he takes victory. What a win. There we are, into the Burrow, building an extension with his winnings, and back tomorrow to try and defend his title here on Phillip Island.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Live Penguin TV. My name is Sky. I'm going to be your host for tonight, and we are joined by the lovely Megan. This is the first time in live stream history that Megan and I have been in the room together.
Ooh, hello, everyone. What a treat. So I'm going to be looking through all of your comments and questions on Facebook and YouTube tonight. So send in any questions you have for us or our special guest tonight, and we'll be asking some of those live on the air. Thanks, guys.
And as you may have seen, we have already got a stack of penguins have arrived. We have, there's actually been quite a lot of penguins already. I've been looking at the time going, why isn't it 8:45 yet? We need to get started. So they have started early tonight. They have been keen. The low tide has not stopped them at all. And if we look out into the ocean, you might be able to see that it is just the calmest night ever. In fact, we can see a raft arriving, approaching in the far distance over there. So we're going to see the penguins before they hit, and this is just a mess of penguins across the beach here. But of course, it is a really special night here tonight on our Live Penguin TV because it is International Day of Women and Girls in Science. Now, I am a woman in science, Megan's a woman in science, and our special guest tonight is another absolutely fantastic, inspiring woman in science. Her name is Paula, and I'm going to get her on the screen now. Welcome, Paula. Hello.
Hello.
So, Paula, well, I won't tell you what she does. I'll let her tell you what she does. But what are you thinking of these penguins right now, Paula?
Oh my goodness, it's like a waterfall of penguins. It's amazing. The numbers are amazing.
Isn't it? And it's so poor Sonia's counting tonight. Do you feel sorry for her?
Oh, good luck, Sonia. Although the tide's low, so hopefully it's a bit easier, but whew, there's a lot of birds there.
Yep, so we can see that there's already a stack of penguins on our preening rocks, and they stretch all the way back to the beach. They are just absolutely scattering. So, look, I don't want to give too much away too early, Paula, but you're a bit of a penguin expert. So can you tell us a little about what's going on in the colony? If people have never watched the live stream before, what are we seeing? What's happening right now?
All right now we have penguins rafting up, arriving in groups onto the beach. they may have been out to sea maybe just for a day or maybe even for 2 to 3 weeks out at sea. And now they're coming back. Some penguins have chicks that they're coming back to feed, and others are coming back into molt. So penguins have what we call a catastrophic molt, which is a fantastic term that I love. And it means that they come up on land and then they're basically stuck on land for about 17 days, losing their old feathers and getting their new ones. So yeah, that's what we've got going on at the moment.
Yeah, I do love the term catastrophic molt. It sounds just so dramatic, but it is a really dramatic process, isn't it? It's really...
Absolutely.
Like, we're not lying when we say it's catastrophic. Oh, we've got a wallaby hopping across the beach there. Can you see it? Let me zoom in. So if we've got any viewers from out of the country, you might just be a little bit stoked to see a wallaby. How Australian's that? A wallaby on the beach with penguins in the foreground. Does it get any better on a Thursday night?
What are the penguins going to do? What do you reckon?
Oh, let's see. Let's wait and see. They don't seem too fussed at this point, although maybe if I zoom out a little bit, we might see a bit of... Oh, no, it's sort of sticking away from the wallaby. Oh, yeah, topping right through. Oh, yep, one of the penguins is getting out of the way. In one of our live streams last year, I believe we saw a bit of an interaction between a wallaby and a penguin, and I think there was a bit of a swipe and a bit of a peck, and that was very dramatic. Oh, yep, and there it goes, hopping off into the distance as more and more penguins turn up. My goodness, what a night! Yeah, so how do you know so much about penguins? Tell us how you know.
All right, well, I like to call myself a penguinologist, but it's not my official title. It's a nice one, though.
It's a good one.
So I am a research technical officer for the conservation department here, and I work primarily with penguins. So my role here is very hands-on. I do a lot of the fieldwork aspect for our research group. So I'm out there every day, out in the colony, checking burrows, seeing who's in, seeing how the chicks are going, what stage of the breeding season they're at. And then I get to do some really cool things like take blood samples for stable isotope analysis. So that tells us what trophic levels the penguins are feeding at. That's pretty cool.
Oh, that's really cool.
And look, the regular viewers, our water watchers, are going to love this. We're getting into the poo early.
As more and more penguins arrive.
Oh, beautiful.
It's just non-stop tonight.
So I am a professional poo collector.
Gross.
We collect 100 plus samples a year, and that's for DNA analysis. So we had a fabulous PhD candidate, Kathy Cavallo. A few years ago, she kind of honed in this technique, and through her work, we actually found out that penguins eat sea jellies, which is really cool. We've never seen that before. So yeah, really good work there. So I now collect the poop for that.
I think I've seen some of the footage of that. We had like a little GoPro on the back of a penguin to see some of that.
Oh yeah, yes, into the water, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
Collecting seashells, yep, fantastic. Yes, I do that. And what else do I do? Megan knows, we've worked together.
Well, I had the pleasure of coming out with you the other day. We had a lot of fun looking through the burrows, didn't we?
That's right. That is another thing that I do. I train a lot of people in penguin handling. People need training in penguin handling. So, yes, I train our staff, our students, some volunteer groups as well in how to handle penguins safely. I also am part of a team that trains people in wildlife oil spill response. So what to do if you have small seabirds that are oiled. The response to that. We do lots of training there, so we've got lots of people, on standby just in case anything happens. So that is fantastic. And then of course the data checking, report writing, and all that other stuff. So
Megan's nodding knowingly. She's going,
all the fun stuff. And I must say that as much as Jordan and I talk about poo, we learnt from Paula.
Oh, so she's the poo queen. New nickname?
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm just going to switch to the highway, Paula, because there is I don't know what you call this, like a buttload of penguins. I think someone said that the other night. I thought it was really funny. The scientific term for penguins. A lot. There's a lot of them.
Oh, look at them. Yeah.
Waddling along. And so you said that some of these are coming home, preparing to molt. You said some of them still have chicks.
Yes, yep, that's right. So the ones that are like extra, extra large, they're your pre-molters coming in. You know, sometimes they really struggle to walk. It looks like they have a limp. They look like they're falling over. But no, they're just so, like that guy, they're just so large that they struggle to walk.
Yes, I think Stephen called one a certified chunker. I really liked that.
Yeah, that's appropriate, yeah.
This one right here on the screen, I know you've got having a bit of a rest. You've got a little bit of a delay, Paula, but this is one of those certified chunkers, and it is just an absolutely busy night in the colony. Ooh, come on, camera. The light it's not happy with the light. We might go back to the main position and head back to the main camera. There we go. And see what's going on out there. Wonderful. Okay, so you've told us a little bit about your role, but there's one little detail I think, oh my goodness, there's more and more penguins are arriving. There's one little detail I don't know that you mentioned. You're quite familiar with our little Burrow cam friend Bluey, aren't you?
That's right. So for our water watchers who are watching Bluey around the clock.
And who is Bluey? Tell everybody who Bluey is.
Oh, yes. So we have a burrow cam, and Bluey is the chick in that burrow cam. And I'm the one who takes the lid off occasionally to give Bluey away. So I can tell you that on Tuesday, when I weighed him last, he was 1,220 grams.
Whew.
And what I then do with Bluey's... Oh, can't tell you yet.
Yeah.
Not sure. You're not sure. But what I do then, I then plot it on a graph to see how his growth's going. And I can tell you he's like way off the chart in a good way.
Oh, good. That's what we like to hear. That is very, very good news.
But the exciting thing is that when I checked on Tuesday, the male was home.
Oh, okay.
So I gave him a quick scan with a scanner, and he was microchipped. So we do microchip the birds in our study site so we can identify the individual birds and see, you know, who they pair up with and things like that. And he was microchipped, and turns out that he was microchipped as a chick in 2017 when he got released from the wildlife shelter that we have here.
Oh, wow. Isn't that incredible? So the work we've done to help this chick a couple of years ago has now led to everybody's favourite little penguin chick, Bluey, now being in existence.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
That is really lovely news. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide you for a moment, Paula. We are going to check in on Bluey. We've never done this before, I don't think. So I'm just going to hide you. Goodbye for a moment. And hello, Burrow Cam. Nobody's home. So this is live feed into the Burrow Cam, but it looks like Bluey has gone out to join the penguin party. He's probably hoping to meet his parents outside. So we'll get Paula back on the screen. There we go.
So even though you might not be seeing Bluey getting fed in the burrow, he spends a lot of time outside now. Every penguin's a he until I know otherwise. I can assure you he is very much getting fed, so you don't need to worry that mum or dad hasn't been seen for a few nights. I can tell you right now he's definitely getting fed.
Wonderful. All right, so that's very good news for our little Bluey. Although, well, I watch the ABC show. I don't know if you watch Bluey on ABC. I do. I don't have kids, but I just enjoy it. And Bluey on the ABC show is a little girl, so I tend to call her a little girl, and particularly because it is International Day of Women in Science, we might she's a girl for the day, don't you reckon? Megan's giving me a nod. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I like it.
If we've got to pick one or the other, let's go for a girl. And actually this is not Bluey herself, but this is similar to Bluey. We've got a little chick just on the screen here who might be looking for some food, looking for his or her parents. And it's not, it's that one as well. That one's got a bit of still like the fluffy collar, and the other one's just gone and hidden off in the bushes there. Anyway, there it comes again. All right, okay. So let's move on. Let's move on to, can you tell us a bit about yourself and how you've ended up being a technical officer, research technical officer here at Phillip Island Nature Parks?
All right, sure. So look, when I was a child, I remember saying the first career I ever wanted as a child was to be a zookeeper.
Mm-hmm.
Thought it was pretty cool. Yeah, and I still think it's pretty cool. But then I kind of forgot about that dream, you know. And actually, it wasn't until it was like the last week where I had to put in my preferences for uni and TAFE that I sat down with the career advisor and went, I have no idea what I want to do. Maybe I want to be a vet nurse, or I actually was really into theatre. Maybe I can be in theatre.
Me too.
Yeah. And it was the career advisor that went, no, you got to do science. And I was like, no, I'm not. And she suggested, look, yes, go into science. Then you can look at, zoology or conservation or anything like that. So I went home and I looked into it, and I thought, wow, that actually sounds really amazing. So that's what I went and did. I did a science degree, and when I got to uni, I just went nuts. I wanted to do every bit of science. I fell in love with it. I learned very, very quickly that I am very bad at astrophysics, but I gave it a go. Gave it a red hot go. And so I tried everything, and then I realized that, the zoology, the conservation part of things was just really what sparked joy for me. And then I spent a lot of time also volunteering, doing lots of volunteer work with different research projects, both at the university and overseas, and just trying to get hands-on onto everything and learn that way. Yes, and then I did my honours degree, and that was with the penguins actually here with the nature parks, and fell in love with them. Just these bizarre little birds that swim and don't fly.
Weirdos.
Yeah, not cute and cuddly, but tough and aggressive. Love it. Fell in love with them, and then when I finished my honours, I did a bit of a different role. I was more in education, so I was taking captive bred wildlife to schools and teaching kids about those animals, and that was an experience as well. I had a saltwater crocodile in my living room for a while there.
That's
Would
terrifying.
not recommend.
No, really, I don't like crocodiles. Well, I really like crocodiles as long as there's a safe barrier between me and them, and I think that's a rational fear,
Yeah. Well, yes. I got pretty good at 4 a.m. Catching up this crocodile and getting it ready, but then after that, it was almost 12 years ago now that I got this role here as a technical officer, and haven't looked back.
Haven't looked back. Oh, that's fantastic. We actually have a little bit of a similarity. So my science pathway started a bit similarly. I was also interested really in theatre, and I was probably favoured English more than, more and more penguins are still arriving. Probably favoured English a little bit more than maths potentially. So I wasn't very interested in, so we might say the word everybody STEM a bit tonight. That's science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So I wasn't so interested in STEM. I was a bit more favourable towards the arts. But then something changed. In about year 10, I think it was the only option to advance in our sort of VCE, to do that in advance at my school was to pick up biology. And I thought, well, I want to advance. That's something I definitely do want to do. So I'll just do biology. I really did it on a whim. And also, I just really did it on a whim. And my science teacher, my biology teacher, she was just so inspirational. I thought she was absolutely fantastic, and I fell in love with biology. I remember looking out the window on a sunny day and seeing leaves in the sun and just thinking, oh my goodness, they are photosynthesizing right now. All of a sudden I felt like the world had just opened up. I understood the world that I was living in. I knew why things were happening, and I just thought, wow, this is incredible. This is life-changing. And I just became an absolute biology convert. And through that, I followed it through university, and then I've sort of devoted my life to conservation and wildlife rescue, and now here I am at Phillip Island Nature Parks. So that's my story. Before we ask Megan her story, though, I do just want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which these penguins are waddling right now. That is the Bunurong of the Kulin Nation, and I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging as well. And I'd also like to acknowledge the women in science of our Indigenous peoples for thousands and thousands of years. Sometimes we don't recognise as well as we should of the fantastic scientific discoveries and technologies and processes that the Indigenous peoples all across Australia have discovered and contributed to. So I really just want to acknowledge and recognise that as well. So now, Megan, your time to shine. Tell us a little bit about your pathway.
Okay, so I was kind of like you guys, growing up, I loved animals, and I thought that I wanted to be a vet because I was like, you like animals? I guess you become a vet.
Absolutely.
Then growing up, I had a little bug catcher. I would go out in the garden and catch bugs and play with them. And I had a little toy microscope. And I used to build little robots with my dad and my sister. And when I went into school and had to pick subjects, I just picked the ones that I found interesting. And they ended up being science. And like Sky, I had a really great Year 12 biology teacher, Miss Moratis. I still remember her as being really great, really inspirational. I loved trying to come up with questions that she couldn't answer. And I ended up with just all of my subjects that I could choose in VCE being science. So when I went to choose what I was going to do at uni, I chose science, and I ended up doing a double major in zoology and marine and freshwater biology. I did my honours on penguins, just like Paula. I worked on the penguins that live down in St Kilda, not too far from here near Melbourne. And then after that, I came here to work at the Penguin Parade, where I started off as a parade ranger, and now I've been lucky enough to do a bit of work with our research team, which has just been fantastic, learning from people like Paula, who's another fantastic inspiration.
Oh, stop.
Oh, thanks for that, Megan. What a great story. So just get back to the main camera now. We might do a bit of a zoom out. So, of course, it is International Day of Women and Girls in Science. Now, Paula, why do we even have a Women and Girls in Science Day? What are the issues? Why is it important? Why are we here talking about it today?
Well, did you know that globally less than 30% of the people in science, working in science, are women?
Oh.
Not only that, but we get paid less, we get less publications, and we progress not as far as our male colleagues, which sounds pretty grim. But...
I'm feeling very ripped off, Paula. I'm not impressed by that at all.
Well, we'll talk about something positive soon. But, but look, there are a number of barriers that women and girls do face when they want to get into science, or even knowing that science is an option. Megan, I loved hearing about how, your dad would help you build robots and that, because that is brilliant. And I think that's what little girls definitely need. Absolutely, to have that as an option, at least. What they're finding in, primary school age kids is that stereotypes come to play, that they don't get those experiences of playing with a microscope or anything like that. So you get girls that become disengaged from science and don't even realise that science is a career option. I mean, that was certainly me. Never did I ever think that I'd go into science, or never did anything about it. So, it starts from that really, young age of not even acknowledging that science is a pathway that you can go into. Then, these young girls grow up into women and go to university. And unfortunately, you start seeing things like biases, discrimination, harassment happening there, and it also continues on to the workplace as well. There was a study actually done in Australia, and 2 out of 5 women who responded said that they were discriminated against, women in science. 1 out of 5 said that they were harassed. So it is an issue. It is unfortunately an issue that we need to be aware of. And then when you look at different sciences, there's not all sciences are the same. Of course, different fields do different things. For example, in physics, only about 20% of the people enrolled in physics degrees are female.
Oh, so it's even lower.
Yeah, that's right. Really low uptake. Biological sciences is different. In fact, just over 50% of those enrolled in biological sciences are women, which is great. That's fantastic. It's what we want to see. But then it's really interesting that then you look at the stats once these women go into the workplace, and it drops off, and then kind of reverses. It becomes male dominated again. And once these women graduate and go into the workforce, then you have, what I'd call the motherhood barrier as such, which I'm a mum. I have 2 gorgeous girls, and it is incredibly fulfilling, and they fill me with joy. But unfortunately, right now, the case is that mothers do most of the child caring. So these women, they go have children, and then it's very difficult in science to then get back into the workforce. STEM is very fast moving. very fast paced, and then to get that training to get back in is very difficult. Flexible work arrangements can be difficult as well. I was actually here at the nature park. I have a flexible work arrangement, and it's brilliant. I can look after my kids and also work, but not all workplaces are like that.
No, certainly not.
Yeah, you get this drop off of women in the workplace and not progressing in their careers.
Yeah, because it is sort of something that I see, at least at my age. There's a lot of women at my level, at my age, but then it sort of seems like, I'm, for everyone at home, I'm 33, and it does sort of seem that this is about the point where people start to drop off because there are these barriers that are very hard to get through, and then it's hard to bounce back once, particularly if you want to have a baby, if you want to have a family. There's a certain amount of time that you almost have to take off. Even if you want to go straight back, there's still going to be always that time. There's always going to be these barriers. And then, of course, those expectations like you was speaking about. So, yeah, retention is a really big problem, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And another issue that we see all through a girl and a woman's life is that there's a lack of role models, a lack of mentors. So young girls don't even see that many women scientists in everyday situations, the visibility is not there.
Yeah, and visibility is just so important. So I think I was telling you this story before about, so I remember, I don't know how many people in the audience have seen the most recent Star Wars trilogy, but I remember sitting down in that theatre and getting ready and seeing Rey climbing up that big building at the start, and then she becomes a pilot, or she's just a really talented pilot. And I remember sitting in that theatre for the very first time. And see, now I was brought up in a very progressive household. I was taught I could do anything, that I can do anything that a boy could do, that don't let anybody stop you doing what you want to do, Sky. So I really was brought up quite, as a feminist, really. But it had never, ever occurred to me, even with all my progressive upbringing, it had never occurred to me that I could be a pilot. I remember just sitting in that theatre thinking, I could be a pilot. And it was only because I saw Rey in a Hollywood movie in a land far, far away or whatever, flying a plane, flying a craft, that I thought, I can do that. That visibility was so important. And I thought, why have I never, I don't think I want to be a pilot, but I never had thought of it. I never even considered it as an option before. I never felt like that was something I could do, because I guess I've never heard when you sit on the plane, I've never heard that pilot calling over the loudspeaker with a female voice. It was something I've never heard. And so visibility is so important, isn't it, Paula?
Absolutely. Every little girl should know that she could be an astrophysicist.
Yeah, if she wants to be, she can be an astrophysicist. Right. Absolutely. Fantastic. Now, Megan, I think we've done a disservice to some of our water watchers. We haven't said how many penguins came in last night. We've been too distracted by the multitudes of penguins coming in tonight. So, can you let us know, Megan, or do you want us to guess?
Well, I'd like you both to guess, and then I'll tell you if you're wrong or not.
Well, Paula has to guess first, because I think I might have caught a glimpse of the number as I walked in tonight. So, Paula, have a go. Looking at what we've got tonight, what do you think last night might have been?
Look, I'm going to use the scientific method.
Ooh.
2 nights ago, was it high?
Yes.
Yeah? Has it been, how many days have we had high numbers?
Quite a few.
Maybe 4?
4, Megan says.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, we've still got high. All right, I'm going to say 2,352.
Oh, okay. My guess was, well, I think I don't know what I would have guessed last night. I'm a very pessimistic guesser. So I reckon I would have guessed like 1,800-ish.
So it's kind of in between
the
two
okay.
of you. Paula pretty much got the number from the night before, but last night it was 2,039 penguins.
2,039. Fantastic. And I think we are going to smack that out of the park tonight.
I think so.
I reckon I've seen 2,000 already, I reckon.
Certainly feels like it, yeah.
Huge numbers. So, look, everybody, we will, I reckon I'll want to tell you how many there are tomorrow. So keep an eye on our social media tomorrow to find out how many penguins there were. We'll probably chuck it in one of the stories, perhaps. because we, of course, will not be going live again tomorrow night. We are not going live on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, but you might have seen the news that we are beginning a special month of live streaming for our UK audiences. Times are a little bit tough in the UK, and we are really keen to bring some smiles to people's mornings in the UK while they're being asked to stay inside. So we will be doing a special month of live streams starting on Monday, and our first guest for Monday is the incredible Michaela Strachan, who is a wildlife presenter from the UK. So we really hope that you're excited to come back and join us for a whole month of live streaming starting next Monday. So now that I've got that little plug out of the way, we've said the Penguin numbers. I should tell you to all please donate to the Penguin Foundation as well. The link is in the description. But Paula, we've talked a little bit about the issues and the problems that face women and girls in science. But do you have some? You said that there was some positive news coming. Do you have some hope for us? Is there anything we can do?
Of course, please. If you're a woman or a girl wanting to go into science, please come into science. So we have a day. And it's really important that there is that recognition, because you can't change anything unless problems are identified. You can't find solutions without that acknowledgement that there is a problem, and that's what we have. Workplaces are certainly addressing the harassment and discrimination and bias issues, of course, and actively trying to put in flexible work arrangements for women to get back into the workplace. There are some amazing STEM programs as well that are being run for both girls and women to get them interested and get that spark going, so they want to get into science. There is certainly the Superstars of STEM. Now that's for women who have already entered the science that want to keep going, get some mentorship there. There's the Young Indigenous STEM Academy I think that's targeted for Year 8 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander young women, to get them really excited and into science as well. So there's certainly some really good things happening. And we are seeing an increase in women in science, actually. We say it's less than 30%, which is, not a great figure, but it's actually getting better. And that is important. And so with a bit more recognition and a bit more work, we can even things out a little bit soon, I reckon.
Yeah, the change is already here. We've already got 3 of us in the room together. We're having this conversation. So already things are on the move, aren't they, Paula? There is hope ahead, and we hope that if there's any particularly girls or women who are thinking about a career in science, well, look, there's never been a better time than now. Things are only getting better and more positive for us, I would say. It's not just women, is it, Paula? So are there any other groups that are underrepresented in science?
Look, I think it's really important that we recognise that there are different types of women and different types of women that have different experiences. So, women of colour and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander women, certainly their experiences are very different to my experience, and we certainly don't see anywhere near the numbers of those people that we want to see in science. Diversity is really key, and it's key in every workplace, but I think especially in science, the diversity in people, in thoughts and ideas is really quite golden in science. To get all these ideas melded and brewing, it's brilliant. And so, really I say, bring on the women, bring on Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people into science, bring on people with disabilities, LGBTQI, bring on everyone. We want everyone to get into science, to get all your fabulous, unique ideas.
Yeah, as much diversity as possible is so important, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Do we have any questions from the comments, Megan?
Oh, we do have a few. And one of them was kind of at the start, which I thought was interesting, because Paula was talking about what she does. And one thing she didn't mention is what she's doing today, working with the media. And someone asked, Paula, have you been on a TV show with the Penguins?
I have actually been on several.
Ooh.
And there is one that seems to get repeated like every month, because I'll get a message from my mum, hey, I saw you again. When I had a shaved head as well.
What was the show?
Oh, you've got me there. I shouldn't have said.
A show with penguins.
Martin Clunes, he's so on Island.
Yes, yes,
Martin
yes.
Clunes is amazing.
Isn't he
so
amazing?
Good.
Doc
Yes,
Martin,
yes.
for those who might not be so sure, if you know him by his character name.
Yeah, a really lovely, genuine guy he is.
Oh, fantastic. So if you're watching Doc Martin Clunes, we'd love to have you on the program as we're going live to the UK.
Hint, hint, yeah.
Hint, hint, we'd love to have you along. To talk all things penguin. Oh, wonderful. Yep, any other questions, Megan?
Or, so when we were talking about Bluey and weighing him, some people were wondering, how do you weigh a penguin that's in a natural burrow? This might be the dirty side of your job, Paula.
Hey, you actually, if you saw the Facebook post for today's live stream, you would have seen me weirdly laying on the ground with a welding glove on. What I was actually doing there was getting a penguin out of a natural burrow. So I get a welding glove on first because we never know what's going to be in that burrow.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have copperhead snakes around? I have seen one in a burrow.
Mm.
So I get that glove on. I slide it along the bottom of the burrow. I feel for a penguin foot. Has to be a foot. Can't be a flipper. Can't be anything else. I feel for a penguin foot. And I gently slide the penguin out. Sometimes give it a bit of a gentle wiggle, 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 wiggle. Pull it out, pop it in a bag and give it away.
Wow. And what's the weighing process like as well? Like, do you just pop it on some scales or?
A spring balance. So one of those, scales that you put in the bag. It's got a little hook on the end. Put it on the spring balance and there we go.
Do them away like that. Fantastic. Yeah. So people might have seen some pictures like that across our Facebook over the years. Perhaps it's sort of what we always do, isn't it? All right, so I'm looking at the highway camera now, Paula. There is no stopping the penguins tonight. I feel like this could be a record-breaking night. It feels really big. I feel like the penguins have come out for women, the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. They're like, right, we're going to really give you a great show.
And you know what? I'm going to jump in here. And I think I know why. I know why. It's because we're here, we're women, we're talking about this. Also, I have two other colleagues, two other technical officers that work with the penguins, and they're both women as well. So, yeah, I think
they're supporting. They're in support. They've come out in support of the day. Of course, it is a day that is observed by the UN, so it's got a lot of high-profile supporters, and the penguins, these thousands and thousands of penguins are just one collective group of them, aren't they? So, of course, we'll get back to some of the women's issues, and this is a difficult one, isn't it? This is one that is not so easy to talk about. We hear about pay gaps. So is that women don't always get paid equally to men or to their male counterparts in jobs. Is this happening in science, Paula?
Look, it absolutely is. And you're right, it is uncomfortable to talk about, but it is important that we do discuss it. And, you know, it depends on the field of science. But, for example, in environmental science, that gap is just under 20%.
Oh,
so, you know, that's huge. That's huge. And the main reason for that gap is this lack of retention of women, of progressing through into senior roles because they've had to step out to look after the children at home. Or, you know, I don't know many senior roles, many CEO roles that are part-time, that are casual.
Exactly right.
You don't get that really. You know, I'd love to be proven wrong, but I certainly haven't seen it. So unfortunately, there's not that space for these mothers who are usually the main caregivers to then step up into these senior roles.
Yeah, and that's certainly still a stereotype, isn't it? That the mother will be the main caregiver. So that's another big barrier, I guess, as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So still a bit of work to go in that sphere. But once again, we're having this conversation, aren't we? And bit by bit, hopefully, as more people get passionate about it, as more people realise that it's not really very fair, hopefully we can see some differences and some changes happening. We can all be a part of the change, which is part of the reason we want to be talking about this tonight. Which leads me to a really nice question. Who have you been inspired by, Paula? Who are some inspirational women in science right now and in your past?
Look, I'm going to talk about two women. Yep. You can't stop me.
I wouldn't try.
And I'm going a bit out of the conservation sphere for my first one. I first want to do a very big nod to Kylie Noon. She is a Gamilaroi woman. and an astrophysicist. I know I'm putting in these astrophysicist themes. Can you feel my lack of dream not getting fulfilled there? But but what I love about Carly is that she was the first Indigenous woman to graduate from university with both a Bachelor in Science and a Bachelor in Maths. So, you know, incredibly impressive, clever woman. She's doing a master's on the Milky Way and how it like gobbles up gases and nutrients from other galaxies to feed itself, which is really cool, I think. But what I really love about
it is.
We can, on the screen.
All right, we're only on to that. We're getting told to leave, but we will not leave. We're keeping the lights on.
I was doing this listening to Paula. I didn't realize the time.
All right.
I've got to
keep going.
I've got to keep going. You can't stop me.
No.
So look, what I love
talk
about
with
Carly's,
the lights out.
Yeah, what I love about Carly's work is that she is also really passionate about taking Indigenous science and astronomy and melding it with Western science and astronomy, and I think that's beautiful. Look her up, because we're running out of time. Look her up. She has some great videos where she talks about the work that she does, and she's also a really big mentor as well, so she's stepping into that mentor space, which is really lacking, so it's beautiful. I'm still going to talk about my other woman.
Go for it.
If you have been watching these live streams, and you would have actually seen her on Sunday night, Dr. Rebecca Mcintosh. She works here at the Nature Park. I love her dearly. She's a dear friend, but she does such amazing work. And you know, she was very modest in her live stream, I think, just casually mentioning how she's, you know, created this novel way to count seals and to estimate, you know, pupping with using drones, which is minimal invasion. You know, you're not jumping in the colony and scaring off all the seals, which I love. I love science and minimizing that impact that we have to get the answers that we need. And she's done such a brilliant job. And whoever is typing in the comments tonight from the Nature Park, please put down Seal Spotter. She's created this amazing citizen science project for everyone to get involved in, which is beautiful. She goes out to seal rocks, catches seals, saves them from entanglements, and then goes home to pick up her boys from school, you know?
She's so inspiring. I was so intimidated talking to her on the phone the other week. I was like, oh, it's Beck.
No, she's amazing. And a beautiful person as well.
Absolutely. And she's had so many incredible experiences in her life. Oh, yeah, she's a really incredible choice for you. Look, I'll quickly throw in my inspirational woman. For me, it's Jane Goodall. I did a bit of work with primates and primate rescue. So, of course, you know, the queen of it all, Jane Goodall, is who I'm going to tip my cap to. And how about you, Megan?
Well, I was going to mention... I wanted to mention Marie Curie because I didn't know much about her until I listened to a podcast recently, and that she actually couldn't study at university in the country she lived in, so moved internationally, and she worked to support her sister through university. Then she went to university while her sister supported her, which I thought was incredible. And the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, the only woman to have won two, the only person to have won two in two different fields. But I think that's one of the women you think of if you're trying to think of a woman in science. But I did also want to mention Beck and Paula, and I think it's really inspiring here at Phillip Island Nature Parks just that we have a female CEO, we have a lot of females in management, and even through uni. I remember Dr. Susie Ho was one of my lecturers, and she inspired me so much in science. She was so dedicated and so enthusiastic that there's great women in history that we'll think of, but also really fantastic women close to home that we can be inspired by.
And a shout out to my year 11 biology teacher, Miss Watson. If you're watching, you're the reason I'm talking here right now. So we're gonna get shooed off very soon, but I do want to ask you, Paula, what advice would you give your younger self or a young person today, or even an adult person today who's wanting to make a change? What advice would you give them?
Look, I'm going to go for the young girls, really. Not anyone really, but three bits of advice, right? Mm-hmm. Be curious. You know, investigate everything. You never know. You never know what you can do unless you give it a go. Ask questions. They're important questions. Whatever you have to ask is important. Why are things done that way? Why they have to still be done that way? And what can you do to shake things up? And the third one is speak up. Your voice is so important. We want to hear you. Your opinions might be different to that of the other people, but that's brilliant. That's what we want. We want that diversity. So speak up. We want to hear your voice.
Fantastic. Megan, you got any advice for anyone watching, if they're still watching?
Yeah, so I wanted to say something similar to Paula. Look, break stereotypes. Like we do, go out and play in the dirt. Don't be afraid to get dirty. I remember at school, I decided that I didn't want to do textiles. I wanted to do woodwork, and I was one of 3 girls in the class, and it was super scary, but I'm really glad that I did it. And if I were to give myself, my young self advice, I would say just don't worry about what people think of you. I used to always worry so much about that. And then working here, talking to people all day, every day, being on Live Penguin TV, I can't really worry too much about what people think of me. You just got to get out there and do it. Do what you're passionate about. And also, if you are a woman in science, try and be a mentor or a role model for others. So when I was at uni, I was a science peer mentor. So I did help mentor the first year science students, and I found that really rewarding. I hope it was helpful for them, but I think it was really helpful for me as well.
Wonderful. And my advice to anybody watching would be have an adventure, take a chance, take a risk. If there's something you want to do, like for instance, Jane Goodall, I didn't really talk about her before, but she was in the 50s. She went on a boat to Kenya and Tanzania, essentially by herself, and just decided to live in the jungle with chimpanzees, which is just incredible. Go on an adventure, take that risk. If you're not sure, just go for it, because only good things can come from it is what I've learned. Take the risk, do the thing that you're not sure of. So that would be my advice. And my last question for you, Paula, before we get kicked out is, what do you hope for the future for women and girls in science?
Yeah, look, I really hope that there are no barriers, that young girls know that they can get into any science that they want to if they wish to, that we have workplaces with that flexibility, that we see this retention of women right to senior careers. I think is really important as well. And that, yeah, overall, we're just seeing more women entering science right up into retirement, where they're making a really lovely wage as senior researchers.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds like a bright future. And I think, it is worth mentioning that it's on the way. You know, I think we were both reading this decadal plan that was saying if we start acting now, if we start fixing some of these problems now, then the future does look really bright. So it's going to take everybody working towards it. It's going to take everybody being a part of it, but it is happening now. So look, if you're still watching, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed our Women and Girls in Science evening. Plenty of penguins have shown up for it, and they're still coming. They're still arriving. They've stopped being counted. In fact, if we had a number, we're going to tell you the number right now. So how many was it tonight?
So a lot of penguins came out to support Women in Science tonight.
Yeah.
We had 3,480 penguins.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Big one. Fantastic. And the lights have gone up on us.
Perfect timing.
So I think it is time for us to say goodbye. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to our mini series, Meeting the Experts. The Penguins have taken a bit of a backdrop this week as we've met our team of experts, but we are getting back to the Penguins as of next Monday, the 15th. We've got Michaela Strachan coming, not coming into the studio, is she? No, she's not. She's over in her home. We're going to be here. We're going to be watching the Penguins. Hopefully there'll be bumper nights of Penguins for the next week, over the next week, and yet we're going to be doing it for a whole month. So I think all I need to tell you now is please donate to the Penguin Foundation. Is there anything else I've forgotten to mention?
I think all we need to do now is huck off.
Huck off, all right. So, we haven't got you to make a noise. Give us your best penguin noises, Paula. And we'll join in with you. We'll make you start by yourself, but we'll join in with you, and we'll that'll be our goodbye. We'll put the thanks for watching screen on once we get started. So.
Megan knows I don't like this. No, that's fine. I'll do it. I'll do it for you guys. All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.